next to none edition. This series is about writing certain parts,
Harmonies.
songs, lyrics,
Rhythm?
Writing sick riffs!
leads. Did we say that?
Maybe.
Well, we did now. It depends on the song, to be honest, like how it all comes into being. Sometimes it'll be John writing the entire song mostly, and then us jamming out little sections, figuring out how to make it all work, like this one. Sometimes it's just a riff, and then we all just write riffs and riff after riff. I don't know, it depends. But John, take it away, tell us how you wrote up this bad boy.
I was on my computer one day writing some music, some programmed drums, some MIDI bass, and my recorded guitar. The riff just sort of came to me as I was messing around. I made the rough demo, I sent it off to the band to get a feel for the song, and we jammed it a bunch after that. It just sort of evolved, like the bridge changed, the pre-chorus got added in after Skylar suggested going back to the verse riff. That was the only
All
thing.
thanks to Skylar. He couldn't be here today. He got abducted by aliens this time.
Right.
Yeah, we got Levi back, but then they took Skylar. One thing that John does a lot of time when he's writing certain parts of certain songs, you'll know he did it because he does something called leading the beat. John, how's that go?
As opposed to beating the lead vocalist.
But yeah, John, show us what I mean by that.
So basically it's just coming in before the one of the next part, so you come in on like
The offbeat.
it gives it a sense of urgency and really gives it a sense of drive.
It's a stylistic choice that he does, and I've even picked up on it, and I probably started doing it too. We've been jamming together for, a long time.
A couple days.
We actually stuck to the typical structure of writing a song, as in verse, pre-chorus, chorus, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, bridge, blah, 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 outro, / chorus.
So chorus sometimes.
Thing is, though, we had to spice it up a bit by making certain sections evolve and maybe take them down a bit, take them up. I guess we are a little bit progressive in that way, especially with this song. So, of course, he laid down the riffs and the foundation. I had to come up with other things to play on the guitar. After John sent the song to us, so I ended up listening to it over and over again and just started to see if anything pops in my head, sort of thing. And I came up with the melody of the first verse, which is. So to write the harmony for the chorus, I took what riff he wrote. Which is this note. And then I just wanted to throw on its third, which is actually the root second. That's what made it interesting and kind of out of the ordinary and kind of made it have to get to that Deftone feel. Levi came up with the next part to add on to it, which was you gotta know you're not the only one. Jamming it out with him, kind of write one part, other parts start falling into place. So
I'm gonna even go so far as to say, so we wrote the original chorus, and that first vocal line coming into the chorus was the only vocal line we had, and we did it twice per chorus, and it just felt kind of empty.
A lot of empty space. We also had the gang chants
in the last two choruses.
Yeah.
And we had 10 different layers at least, and we wanted to just represent just about unity and bringing people together to support one cause.
Explored slightly different rhythms with the way that the backing vocals are presented and stuff to make it a little more unique.
Like a polyrhythm on top of.
Yeah, when you hear it the second time, stand a little bit more on its own.
So I wanted to play something a little simpler and ethereal during the chorus, so I ended up playing, which ends up just being what I'm actually singing, this high note. So not much going on there, but I wanted to put some delay on there and make it sound spacey, because there's a lot of heavy riffs going on.
What about the harmony for the next to
okay, so the next to none, I actually threw a third harmony on that as well, so that's what it sounds like vocally.
So why don't you do your part, I'll try to do my part.
Okay. So yeah, this makes it quite interesting.
Kind of how we did it. How you do it.
It makes it quite interesting because for the root, it's actually its fourth. It's just all strange. There's a lot of stuff going on there.
We were let's break out of the mold on this one a little bit.
So for the second verse, we ended up I ended up playing this line. up the second verse a little bit. Pre-chorus is kind of the same. Slightly different.
So let's bridge our way out of this conversation.
Yeah. So the bridge.
It just came out of a jam we were having. Like, it just, one of those things that just dropped into it.
Actually,
it sounded cool.
Yeah, it was you. You were just like,
Oh yeah. And I was like, we need to make it dancey. We need to make this bridge dancey.
Oh,
and I was like, can you get like kind of a funk? That's another thing. Anytime we're writing a song, I'm like, we need to make this song dancey because then people want to come to our shows.
But then you're like, we also need to make it weird time signatures. People can't dance to.
so yeah, we combined the two, and then we had it build up where the vocals come in. Right in the mix in the bridge is actually us stomping to signify we're marching as protesters. I should talk about the vocal harmony though, or the lyrics in general. So I ended up just like having that written somewhere random. Like I think it was just in my notebook somewhere from many, many years ago. It was a really cheesy line. Originally I was just gonna speak it, but I ended up just jamming it out and singing it. I just sung it over and over again. And
we heard you speak it. We're like, sounds like shit, man.
Yeah, it sounded a lot like Five Finger Death Punch, and we weren't down for that. So
we've only got 4 fingers in our band. So.
The thumb isn't a finger.
So I ended up throwing a minor third, like harmony on top of it, and then that's how that came into being. I do like a little solo bit there, but also right before the last pre-chorus to say "set this right," which I just want to mention quickly was actually a lyric written by my buddy Jared Ricks, who sadly has passed away. Rest in peace, buddy. But he actually wrote a song that has kind of similar like lyrical content in it, and he said it right. But we ended up just thinking that "set this right" flowed a little better.
Set this right!
We've been scratching the surface as we've been scraping. Like that part. Ended up just like figure out like a harmony, and I put lyrics behind it afterwards, because that's usually how I write lyrics, is I figure out what the notes are, and then I plug it in. I mean, sometimes it's different, sometimes it happens naturally, but that's usually how I write, and I know that's not how everybody writes lyrics.
So different from my approach.
Yeah, so you do it, you do it, you just improv stuff.
We're playing and I just make stuff up, and I'm like, that sounds good, let's do that.
It ended up being pretty relevant to the Black Lives Matter movement as well. I only had one verse written, so we ended up jamming it over and over again, and I kept the second verse with the same lyrics, basically, but I tried to sing it differently, and I did for a while, and right before I went to the studio, I actually just changed the lyrics slightly on it to make it more interesting and to add on to the story.
To make it more interesting or interesting?
Ended up actually on the second half of each verse, I ended up doing that Jimi Hendrix Band of Skulls thing, where you sing what you're playing. I know we've never done that before, and I thought we'd throw it in there. Plus, it's really easy to do.
Sounds sweet. Yeah. It's like honey for your ear holes, really.
Yeah, thank you. We ended up coming up with the name Next to None because it ended up being about the fact that the 1%ers are taking advantage of us. I wanted to throw out my political opinions a bit, which I've never done before writing a song. So, first time for everything. Hopefully it resonates a little bit with you guys. Okay. Thank you for joining us. This has been How That